here today talk to you about something that this is somewhat dichotomy. You know what dichotomy means it's like you take something and you look at it in this way and that way, and they is as far apart as they can be, and I'm not even sure why they'd have anything to do with each other. But that kind of stuff happens in the human brain all the time. And what Coach Catfish here is have something to tell you about a little story about some of the glory of perception. Perception of, well, it could be deception, but it's perception of things we do not understand in particular. Now, Coach Catfish is in that big deal that back in the day when all this stuff was going on, it's a different world. This is here back in the 80s. And maybe the early 90s somewhere, but mostly in the 80s. And the mid bump the lizards. Don't do that to me, lizard. It's okay. My battery is as charged as it can get in here for the lights. And I do what I can do. I'm sorry. 130. I saw that 133. Anyway, what it was not about the lizard or anything, but it is sort of about the lizard in the big picture and the scope of the nines. But what I'd experienced is Coach Catfish was driven to understand the things of the are, to understand things of creation, to understand things of logic, to understand the things of all the things that actually had foundation, at least in numbers. This here and this here do equal 4. Or in some other culture, do it equal 10. Or in some other culture, what the hell, we don't know. It's the feet in the air. It could be how you got your Senate seat or something else. But I regress and digress, and at some point I will die, and that's just part of hell. But what I've been considering is this whole thing about the duality and about the wonders of the man and the humanity and the way people deal with nature and deal with their surroundings. Coach Catfish, you came in here and, I told you I look for logic because I came up in such a chaotic, it did 301. It's a 31 backwards 13. But it did that. And I grew up in that whole situation where everything was sort of magical. We had the poltergeist. We had all kind of things that went on, and all kind of paranormals and all kind of paranormals, and these are things that was not right. And then Coach Catfish said, "I reject this here stuff. I reject this here stuff," and I grabbed hold of the physics and the mathematics. Praise the Yah. I remember being 6 years old and seeing Leave It to Beaver, and somehow he was getting involved in his parents he wanted to sign up for going to a military school. That's what Coach Catfish wanted to do when I was 6. I wanted to do that because I realized that discipline and self-discipline was necessary. And I don't know why, as a child, I understood that, but I did. It could have been because I was done what happened. You can read the book and you can understand. Somehow, it made an impression. And then I met Spock. Spock, that man that, he had the ideas of logic. And somehow that made an impression too. And what I realized is, out of insanity, you can actually find something that is useful. And when I got up there and got up in the physics and stuff, I realized, there's the theories and various other things, and I actually had an opportunity to work on such stuff where you have chaotic behavior, but you'll have islands of stability, and you can calculate this here stuff, and it's not linear, and it's very interesting. But it is something you can depend on. It is reality. We built these here little machines. And then, when I stop and I think about humanity and the things that I'd experienced and the things that enlarged my surrounding of my brain, what I saw, Now, Coach Catfish here, I want to tell you about this, and this is about stuff that's from the 60's and from the various some things. And I was such a large scale person, and I'd been abused and done so bad. And then there was something that came from that period, and oh my, oh me, oh my. Coach Catfish found himself out at the camp, running through the woods, cause I realized it's full moon. And you see it, you understand. It was time to get out and go, and I didn't hold back, and I ran through the woods, and I ran back because I needed another beer or something like that. I had to get me some tea, and that down in the bayou we got to have that sweet tea. And then after that, something else happened, and it was amazing. Yeah, this may not mean nothing to you, but I just want to put it on the film so somebody understands, because they might understand this, Coach Catfish flies kites. I've always been a kite flyer, and I love to fly the kite. And because I understand the wind, I understand the physics of how the kite works, and in my brain it makes me happy. It does something and just makes me go, woo! Well, it doesn't do that. I would not do that out in the public, but it's out there flying the kite. Well, what Coach Catfish did, I went back to the camp. When I finally found my way back around the water line, because, we out there at the Darbone, and praise the offer of the Darbone because it just made such an impression. Praise the offer the water and cypress trees and all them critters out there and the ducks, and I'll be bumping lizard. Anyway, what happened? I went out that night, and I had my bat kite. This was back in the mid-'80s, 84, 85. The mid-'80s, something like that. I had my bat kite, and you could get out there and do some stuff with a bat kite. Well, out here on the lake, out on the Darbone, where we was, let me see, I want you to see what my pussycat's doing over there. My sweet pussycat. Anyway, I've been having issues with the pussycat thing. It's been a very harsh thing. But anyway, I found my way back to the cabin, because that's where we hung out and stuff like that. I got to get something to drink. Anyway, found my way back, and somehow I just knew I had to go fly a kite, because I done think I got out there and howled at the moon. No, I did. I think I did that because, you see that thing on me. I done howl at the moon, because I love the woods. The woods is good. And then, in the evening, in the morning, wherever you is at, you've got the woods. But I want to fly a kite. Somehow I got it in my head. I want to fly a kite. So I went out there on the pier. The pier is about 100 foot out there in the water. And, even 100 foot out, it's not only 5 foot deep. So I went out there. I stumbled out there or something. I got out there somehow with my bat kite. And it was a moonless. Or it was. Maybe it was. Maybe I didn't see a moon at all. Maybe I just thought I saw a moon. Because, Coach Catfish thinks he's a werewolf sometime, but I'm not sure about that. It's just predatory features of the human being. We actually, after all, we predatory creatures. We really are. Anyway, I got out there and got my kite up, and I started flying that sucker. And I really couldn't see anything, so I guess maybe it wasn't a full moon, but that's, how it is when you're thinking in your head. And from the 60's, you got to think of the 60's, all them stuffs. And I was flying that kite. And I was feeling the kite. See, and then in the evening, you have the breeze that does what it off is in the land breeze. In the morning, the way the breeze comes in and goes out, is because the land heats up different than the water does and stuff. And it does this here. And I was up there flying my kite. And that sucker, I could feel it. I could not see it. But every once in a while, I'd see the stars, because we're so far away from town, you couldn't see nothing but stars. And that kite up there go through the car, and I could just feel it. I really couldn't see it, but I could feel it. And somehow in my mind, I went into understanding how the spirit, and how these things work, and how ethereal, and how important these forces and these things are. Even though I could not see it, I was flying a kite. And see, I remember that, and that was over 40 years ago. That's one of the most important things I'd had happen, because it's up there after I'd been through a hard week of quantum mechanics and various and sundry things of calculus and doing whatever the hell I was doing, stellar evolution, and then I'd come out to the bayou, and head out there and touch God. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. For all these experiences that we have to have. And it's what makes us who we are. It's what we have to teach and maybe preach and help soothe people down so we can look at the big picture. Because what that taught me was life was amazing. I spent all the stress of the week and the work, because I worked my ass off, and then I go out there and hang out with the bros and stuff, and we go out there and do the gigging and the fishing and stuff, and we just had to have opportunity the 60s, and it was just, it's something I can say today. It quieted my mind. And for about 6 months, I did not have the life-changing periodic situations that Kosher Catfish was possibly, may have had at one time, but I can't be sure because I just assume about the lizard. The lizard just hangs there. His head been glued on, so we need some help on transitioning that lizard and get him back to a real lizard because he got the Pinocchio syndrome. And I'm coming up on when I say 12, I'm gonna stop.